Okay, so our next section is going to be 2-4 area models. This is one of the trickier, one of the more different sections in this overall module. So if we take a look at the scenario that they give us in this problem, some students got together and they made a map. So what they're doing is that charging customers $10 to walk through this maze. And the only two options that they have is that they can, if they choose correctly, they'll win $20. But if they don't choose correctly, they're going to walk away with nothing. So with that in mind, number one asks what money could a customer make if they successfully navigate the maze. So they have to pay $10, and then if they successfully navigate it, they're going to win $20. So we're going to take that $20, subtract it from how much they pay, which is $10, and we are going to get a $10 profit right there. Profit. All right, so when I look at number 3, it wants me to create a tree diagram with the possible options that the customers can take entering the maze from the upper, lower, or middle path. So depending on which option they take, we're going to need to create a tree diagram. So this is stuff that we did in 2-2, which was our entire section on tree diagrams. So this is something that we should be able to do. So I'm going to have my start. It's probably be a little cramped because I want us to see the picture here as we go through and do our tree diagram. But from the start, we got two options here. We can take this, what I'm going to call the upper path, and then the lower path. So in this case, we don't have a middle path right from the beginning. So I can go to the upper, or I can go to the lower. So there's only two options here. This is all weighted to be the same. So there's going to be a 1/2 chance. So here's where it gets a little tricky. Let's say I choose the upper path. So if I go this way, I'm going to come across a decision right here. So I got a fork in the road. So I'm going to split this up to 1/2 and 1/2. So there's a 1/2 choice. I continue to go straight, and then a 1/2 chance that I can go straight into nothing. So let's do the one where if we decide not to go straight and we decide to take this path that goes down, there's one option that's going to lead to nothing. So right away, that's going to lead to nothing. Right above it, if I continue to go this direction, I'm going to come across another decision. One of those is $20, the other one is nothing. So how I'm going to express this, I'm going to have an option of 1/2 and then another option of 1/2. So one of those leads to $20, which is what I want. The other leads to nothing, which is, of course, what we don't want. So that's that's going to take care of the front part of that tree diagram. So now we're going to do the same thing if we go through with the lower. So if you notice, this is a pretty symmetric maze. So up top, we can either go upwards, which is going to lead to nothing. So when I take my lower path, I come across another split decision. If I choose the upper part of that, it's going to lead to nothing through the middle. Or I can continue to go straight. I come across another choice here, and with that choice, I'm going to have to split it up either way. So I'm going to split that up as $20 to 1/2 there, and another 1/2 of nothing. So $20 here, and then nothing here. So from here, we can go and figure out what are our odds of each of those. I'll change color really quick. So if I want to figure out what my odds are going to be, I need to basically multiply the fractions that I get along the way. So if I start with the very first one, so I choose the upper, I choose this 1/2, and I choose another 1/2. When I look at this $20, it's going to be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, which is going to give me an 1/8. So that's going to be that option there. When I look at nothing, it's going to be a similar option. 1/2 here, 1/2 here, and another 1/2. So it's going to be 3 of those. Then I multiply together to get 1/8 as well. These two in the middle, I'm going to notice that they're the exact same. So one of those is a 1/2 times this 1/2. The other one's this 1/2 times this 1/2. So in each case, it's just going to be 1/2 times 1/2. So in that case, I'm going to get a 4th for that one. I'm going to get a 4th for that one. And when I look at the bottom, I come across another decision there. So there's going to be 3 1/2s on each of those. So I get an eighth, and then another eighth. So when I add all that up, I should get 100. I have 4 sets of 1/8, that's a half, and then when I add those 2 1/4, that's going to give me a half as well. So last but not least, we'll be figuring out our percentages on each of these. Percentages we get nothing, percentages we get $20. So let's start with the $20. If I look, I have that one right there, that one right there. So that's going to be an eighth plus an eighth, which equals 2/8, which is going to give me a fourth. So 1/4 right there would be my option, or my probability of getting $20. And then I'm going to look at my other fractions to figure out what nothing's going to be. So I got 2 of them as a fourth, and then 2 of them as an eighth. So I would need to change all of those to have a common denominator. So when I go and end up doing that, I'm going to get 6 out of 8, which is going to give me 3/4. So that 3/4 right there is going to represent nothing. And of course, when I add those 2 fractions together, I should get 1. So there's a fourth chance of $20, and then a 3 1/4 chance of getting nothing. So even if we haven't talked about our area model yet, this is just set up for everything, but we should still be able to do this with our tree diagram. So now, with these percentages in mind, we're going to take a look at what our area model is going to be. All right, so just so we can keep this tree diagram up here and the area model on the same screen, so we don't have to go back and forth and everything, we're going to take a look at our area model. So if you look down at the bottom of your page, you're going to see something that looks like this little thing that I just drew. So that's what your area model is going to look like. So if you notice, it's already split in half down the middle, and they did that on purpose. So I'll make a note here above that. So the first move with an area model, so your first step is we split into the number of rows. We split into number of rows based on the first option. So when we start this maze, so when I start right here, I have 2 options. I can take the upper, or I can take the lower. So because there's 2 options, I'm going to split it across where I got 1 right here and 2 right here. This one's going to represent the upper, this one's going to represent the lower. So what we're going to look at now, so here's my upper one. So when I take this upper path, if I keep going, I'm going to come across my first decision right here. So when I choose this, or when I make up my mind on this decision, it's going to be a 50-50 shot either way. I'm either going to go straight or I'm going to go down. So because it's a 50-50 shot, I'm going to split that in half. So think of this upper as like a 100% bar. If I come across a decision, it's going to be an equal decision, equally likely to occur. So it's going to be split into 50-50. So that's what I did there. If I continue to go straight, I'm going to come across another decision right here. So I'm going to write that over here on my left one, where I got another decision. So I'm going to split this 50 into 2 25s, or you can think of it as a fourth. So I split that 50 up in half to 25% and 25%. One of those 25% leads to 20. The other one leads to nothing. So I'm going to write nothing there. So that's going to take care of that first one. If I decided to, hey, I want to go down this path, that's going to lead to nothing. So this entire 50% is going to be nothing. So now, that's going to take care of my upper. I need to do the same thing with the lower. So I'll switch the color up here. If I decide to take the lower path, I come across another decision right off the bat. So I can either go up or down, but because I have 2 options, it's going to split this in half. If I take this upper part, that leads to nothing. So if I take this part right here, that leads to nothing. And then if I decide to go straight, I'm going to come across another split decision. So I'm going to have to split that in half. So I could get $20 or I could get nothing here. So this is what our tree diagram should look like. So something to notice is that when we, or I should say area model, this is what our area model is going to look like. But something that should happen when we do an area model is that they should be equal to each other. So each of these little squares or rectangles that we have need to be the same. So if I look, I see this part right here. Each of those represent 25%. And then I look over here, all of this right here represents 50%. And the same thing's going on in that lower path. Well, I need all this to be equal with one another. So to do that, I have this part right here. That line right there that splits in half. So I'm going to continue this line out and basically make a line right there. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to continue this line that's on the bottom and have it come up like that. So when I do that, it's going to create 1, 2, 3, 4 even columns going up and down with each other. So with my columns, I want them to be equal to one another. So that happens here when I split those into fourths. So I'm getting area, right? So this is an area model. So I'm going to take the area of this. So I need to figure out how many rectangles or squares that I have. So I'm going to take the 4 right here, 2 right here, multiply that with each other. So I get 8. So if I want to figure out the probability of getting $20, I need to count how many boxes have $20, which is 1 and 2. So it's going to be 2 over 8, which reduces down to 1/4. And that should be super relevant to us because we just found, using the area model, that was also 1/4 once we multiplied and added those percentages up with one another. So your area model is an alternative option. You'll have to do both on the quiz and on the test to figure out what the percentage of it is. But it's important to know how to split it up originally, and then even more important to know how to keep everything even, where we have everything evened out at 25%. There may be some we come across where we got to split it into eighths. Lots of different scenarios that we could have, but either one of those two options work in getting the probability of a set event. So it's, like I said, it's important to know both on these. And that's going to wrap up our area model. So there's some practice that you can do with these, with figuring out with pumpkins. There's an extra little worksheet, so you can work on that too to get some more practice with these.